Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Fatback 4 for this Sunday night. I've made a big mistake. Brentford 3, Liverpool 0 is not the score that you see up on the screen. It was 3-3. It's because I had Palace and in where Liverpool was, but I've made a mistake. It was 3-3, I promise. Don't lose your mind on that. We're definitely going to look at Brentford 3, Liverpool 3. We're going to have a look at the defensive slips that we had yesterday, and overall, we were poor defensively. We're going to give credit to Brentford, most definitely, as we go through this, and then we're going to look around the league, because there's been some interesting stuff that's happened in the league over the weekend. I think so anyway. With me, of course, is Seany, Grizz and Keith. And look, lads, I'm gonna get straight into it, no messing about. And Seany, I'm gonna come to you first, because the lineup, Seany. I think it was the most straightforward lineup you could pick all season so far, because of the injury to Thiago, and Harvey Elliott isn't there, of course, and Naby Keita kicked the grass during the week, and we don't know what's going on with him now. But it was the easiest lineup to pick, wasn't it, so far this season?
Yeah, it kind of picked itself, really. The back five we've come accustomed to, and then Jones really the only sort of option that we could have put in there in terms of having more of an attacking threat in midfield. And I had no issue with it. When I saw it at 4:30 or at 4 o'clock in the group, due to where the resident TK in the west of Ireland, Seany. I didn't have any. We
listed it backwards, by the way, and we thought Alisson was playing up front on his own.
Yeah. I didn't have any issue at all. I wasn't worried at all. Not that I wasn't worried, because I was harping on all week about how this was going to be a really fucking tough game, and it turned out to be that.
It did turn out to be that, and Grizz, I come to you, like, when you're looking, like, there's people in the chat there saying, Cade Fagan says we're defensively shocking. Others are saying that, Thiago was badly missed and stuff like that. But I'm being honest, Grizz, I don't know what difference certain players would have made there yesterday. I think it was an attitude thing from Brentford and an attitude from us that kind of made this game happen. Like, overall, I look at it and go, I don't think we played very, very badly, but I thought I don't even know the word. Our outlook on this game seemed to be one of, and I hate to say it, and we'll get on to it later about what it means for this team, but it was kind of like, we'll just turn up and win. And I got that feeling off Liverpool.
I definitely got that feeling. I'm glad you said attitude, because that was the word I was going to use. And I thought the attitude was... It seemed like the attitude was we didn't want to do the hard graft, and that is so not like us. Like, we know what it takes now to win at these grounds where the atmosphere is frantic, the pressing is intense, the energy is high from the opposition. And as you said, with the lineup, there's not a person in that would make me feel uncomfortable about that game. There was a slight sort of maybe a decision to be made with Jones or Milner, I think, was the other option. Obviously, Ox is way down the pecking order. But when you look, I've been saying to opposition fans, when we got the big dogs back, like, the ones that we know about back, we feel comfortable. And that was the most uncomfortable I've felt with the big boys back in ages. I mean, I can't remember. Probably Aston Villa. It's got to be, right? Where the big boys were back. And yeah, I mean, all the other ones, we've always had a vital component missing, right? So we know we lost 6 games in a row, blah, 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 all that. But we've had none of since we've had the big boys back. I think that was the most uncomfortable I felt. And I agree with you. I think it was a case of desire and wanting to get yourself, like, dirty and do the nasty things first, which we can match anyone. We pride ourselves on, if you want to row with us, we can row with you. If you want to play football against, we can play football against with you. But I think they out-desired us, I think.
I think there's definitely something to that, Keith. And, we've said it loads of time on this podcast that, like Grizz said, if you want to make it an open game, we're good with it. If you want us to sit back and you want to attack us, we'll hit you on the break. And if you want to make it dirty or you want to make it physical, we're quite happy to do that. And we lost out in certain points, the second balls in particular, and I'll get on to it in a minute. But for you, Keith, when did you feel after the game, or even in the first 15, 20, that it was a real case of we've come in here with an attitude, and it's the wrong one, and we couldn't seem to get ourselves out of it, despite going behind, going in front again, being pegged back, probably could have won it near the end. We never seemed to get out of that attitude that seemed to be there from very early on.
Yeah, I mean, I've no problem going in with an attitude thinking we're going to beat teams, because we had that sort of arrogance a couple of years ago when we knew we would steamroll these opposition types of teams. But with this one, it just didn't seem right. And I think, I'm sure we'll all agree, the defensive unit were terrible, and that includes Fabinho in front of them. I thought was a bit off it as well yesterday. And Van Dijk is back from a long injury layoff, right? And he's come back pretty seamless, in all fairness. He's played up every game. It's a new forward, it's a new threat, it's a new, we had Lukaku, and he was Matip that handled him. But, we've got through these games. Yesterday, it looked like Grizz, I think, said it there, the Aston Villa game from last season. There was no cohesion. There was no desire. They knew what you're going to get. Look, if you're playing Ivan Toney, you know what you're going to get. The fella, he's a good player. He's a strong, he wants to run it down your throat. He's a battering ram. Don't mean that in a disrespectful way. That's the type he is. And the other fella, Mbeumo, beside him, we saw them against Wolves last week. They're a difficult strike force to deal with. I fancied us going into the game, to deal with them, because Van Dijk can deal with anybody, and Matip has been better than Van Dijk. So I was like, right, they're a tricky opposition, but this is going to be, we'll go in here and we'll sort these out. Not in a cocky or arrogant way, just in a Liverpool do this, we know what they do, and if we're getting back to that, well then happy days. But it just wasn't right from the start. It just wasn't right. We have this invincibility thing with Virgil van Dijk, that he doesn't get beaten on the ground, he doesn't get beaten in the air. And when he does, it's like, oh, Jesus, someone beat him in the air. Well, fucking Ivan Toney was going up with him all day yesterday, and he was winning every header. And Van Dijk just didn't look comfortable. He didn't look comfortable on the ground either, which is unusual for him. And Brentford, a load of credit for them. You see teams that'll come up and, the pat on the back for the Norwiches and Grizz's mate, Daniel Farke. And they don't really, they play away and they play one way, and it doesn't really, suit them. It's all nice and attractive or whatever, but it doesn't get them anywhere. Brentford are going to take points in the league because the style of play they have and the tactical ability in their players means they will sweep up points all over the place. They're from looking at Brentford now for a second. Like, you look at their defence, they've got Ethan Pinnock as a player who comes up through the non-league Forest Green or wherever we play with. Pontus Jansson and Christopher Ayer. I mean, we were looking at Christopher Ayer last year, apparently. Do you know what I mean? Pontus Jansson was a good top player for Leeds. It's a decent defence they have. It's a hard one to break down. They've got a midfield then. Again, the German fella in there, what's his name, scores the second goal.
He's a player. He's a
big time,
serious player.
And Hansi Flick's in the stadium there looking at him. So the German national coach is in here looking at this fella. These are a serious team, and they will take points. Now, I think we expected a win. We went in there. We were very sloppy, but we were decent in patches. I thought Brentford personally ran out. They had a period in the first half where they were putting us on toast constantly, and then I thought they ran out of steam. But we just gave it back to them at the end. In the second half, their second and third goals, I think, were just horrific. I'm going to come on to them in a few minutes.
Well, I'm gonna come interject here, Gav. I don't think it was a problem with attitude at all, to be honest with you. And the reason being is because having not seen much of Brentford this season, only the Arsenal game, when you kind of put that down to it being the Friday night football first kick-off of the season, Brentford's first time in the top flight for 70 years. Klopp said something in the pre-game that I was going, oh, are they? I didn't realise. Klopp turned around and commented on how physical that these were and I never knew that about them. Yeah. And we just it wasn't anything got to do with attitude yesterday. I think we just got bullied. I think if you look ever since Klopp in, even in the years where we won Champions Leagues and league titles, we do have this tendency to get into these ding dongs sometimes with these teams. It happened with Salzburg. It happened with Leeds last year. There's been a few 4-3s, 3-alls where we just see it out. It can happen. These games happen. And I don't think we should go over top in the knee-jerk. I don't think for a second we underestimated them, to be honest with you. I genuinely don't. I just think the two up top caused those major problems because that used to be such a traditional approach to play. Like, it's not like you're playing Burnley and it's Chris Woods and Ashley Barnes and the two big stockings. And these two lads are a fucking brilliant tandem.
And they're quick as well.
You're going to get onto it, but I think what killed those was the inability to get onto second balls. They literally won every single second ball the whole day. And even the thing is, Klopp is big on the second ball and the recovery of wherever the ball goes. They were flicking the ball on, and it was just anticipated, whether it was Boyd at Janelt or the other Norgard fella or in Wembo. It was just the perfect foil. The two, it was refreshing, Gav, to be honest with you. Brentford earned the fan of me yesterday because I thought these were a soft touch. Thomas Frank is the type of coach you look at thinking, this is one of these European coaches who has this approach to the game. They're a proper side. They are a proper side. Make no bones about it. And they've got some really, really good players. A lot of standout individuals for them yesterday. And to be honest with you, I think we done well to get out there with a point in the end because when you have an off day like that, you can be so easily turned over. Like
Watford a few years ago when Troy Deeney and that would be absolutely ramming it down Scarl's throat, and you get them games.
They made us so uncomfortable yesterday. They really did, and you could see, like, you couldn't chalk it down to. You can't chalk it down to Virgil just being back from injury because they pulled up a graph before the game yesterday, and he's top of every stat in the Premier League as a centre back. So it just wasn't that. I think the biggest takeaway from it was that when Virgil has an off day at the back, we so often talk about how Matip pulls Van Dijk out of fire. He obviously doesn't, because when Virgil has an off day, it rings true. It looked like there was zero communication at the back yesterday, and I'm sure you'll get into the goals and we'll break each of them down individually. But that's what makes it so annoying for me, is that we can see them 3 pinball wizard goals, and only moments of magic kept us in that game yesterday. So I think in hindsight, it's a fucking brilliant point. And I'm not making that out to be a positive. We could have been easily turned over yesterday and we could have had no quarrels because they were a far better side over 90 minutes for me.
Well, Ramon's clear with a super chat. He says, seems to me that there's something off with the defensive positions of our centre midfield. Felt like a continuation of our bad spell of the Milan game when there's a huge space between our midfield and defence. I'm not really on that. And I know where Seany's saying about, and I think it was Red Steve said it was application. And I've seen this Liverpool side so many times go into games and you just know, first 20, again, pick a side, any side. It's usually any side that we play at this stage, where the first 20 is going to be, they're going to drop balls on top of you, they're going to put them down the sides, they're going to look to hurt you early, get free kicks off you. And Liverpool would apply themselves to the point where the other team would just give up doing that, because they'd work so hard to be physical with you, win the second ball, and then play Liverpool's game. And when Liverpool play their game, you quickly realise that you can't do that. And that's all down to application for me. And I agree with Red Steve when he uses that word. What I found yesterday was, and I'm not saying Liverpool underestimated Brentford, I don't think so, because like you said, Klopp speaks a lot about how good they are, how well drilled they are, how good players they have, their physicality, everything. Klopp knows it. He's not going into a game blind against Brentford. He simply isn't. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, from me watching that yesterday, I'm thinking to myself, I'll put it to you this way, Seany. If we were playing Manchester City yesterday, we would in no way ever lose that amount of second balls. Ever. Right?
Yeah, because they don't play like that.
But hold on, there's loads of second balls in every game of football. Every game of football.
Not like that though.
But Seany, listen, come here and I tell you. If a second ball is dropping...
They
Yeah, but
completely
hold on.
bypassed the midfield.
But that's fine. But that's fine. If you want to bypass the midfield, that's fine. But your midfield should be able to turn and say, they're bypassing us, so we need to be ready for the second ball coming down off Van Dijk or the flick on that's going near our fullbacks, and we weren't. It was an application thing for me. Now, I am giving credit.
Second balls are far easier to win if your defender is wearing the aerial duels. So
Yeah, I understand that.
And we didn't do that all day.
No, we didn't. But the thing is that I give credit to Brentford. I thought they were very, very good on what they done. I think the goals they score are all very similar for me, where they're overloading in certain areas, and that's something they've looked at and played on.
The first one is forgivable because it's a training ground set piece that's well executed. Now Fabinho's probably a little bit lax in the right stick, but that's you can kind of forgive that one. But the rest for me does not. Like Dav had a great shout in the WhatsApp. You could have sliced a credit card under Van Dijk's feet for the second one when the ball comes off the bar. We just weren't that, Gav. And that's football. You have days like that. You're gonna have an off day.
When you're saying we're not at it, that's I think I might not speak for Gav, but I think that's what I meant. That when you're not at it, that is an attitude problem. When you're not up for it. Let me just finish. So for example, if we play that game again, that shit doesn't happen.
No, I don't know.
There's not a chance that happens again.
Well, this is my point. So why doesn't it not happen again?
I don't know if that. Tell you what.
I think we're overpraising Brentford way too much.
We should have. We had chances to win that game that we didn't take.
Enough chances.
That we should have taken.
I guarantee you, Salah scores that. If that's any other Spurs, City, Chelsea, whatever, Salah scores that. He was way too complacent with that finish as well. It all comes down to whatever the word you want to use. Maybe attitude. We just stick into one word.
I think it's more about finding a way. And what I mean by that is that
we find a way.
Yeah, Liverpool in the past and this season in games, you look and go, geez, they're being done and down the side, or they're being done not early so much this season. But Milan we're getting in around the midfield for that very short period at Anfield, and Liverpool found a way. And Klopp actually came out and said after the Milan one, we are too overindulgent when we are playing well. We got too excited by playing well and lost our shape. Do you know what I'm saying?
We controlled that Milan game for
I know we did, but you see,
we didn't control that game at any stage.
No,
and there was probably 10 minutes after the third goal where we started to carve them up. And I agree with you, Grizz. If that's 0-0, Salah passes that into the bottom corner.
Yeah.
Never mind Spurs, Chelsea. If that game is at 0-0, Salah's passing that into the bottom corner, and we're not having these conversations. But we don't need to be. That's football. Small margins. Like, they fucking played percentages yesterday. They just played percentage football. That's all they did.
There's no doubt. That's exactly what I said. I said that they've not had to score brilliant goals.
Yeah,
and that's what hurts the most.
Yeah,
None of their goals. Even the first one, you said it's a textbook. Curtis, fantastic for me.
He switched off.
Yeah, he slightly switched off.
He still had to execute that as well. You know what I mean? It was executed.
Even switching off, that's another thing. We're just switching off. Fabinho at the far post, switching off. Virgil and Matip, the one that you referred to with Virgil not getting switching off, not alive and alert enough.
Yeah,
it's not us. It's not us.
I just think it was El Dragao 11 says he feels honestly Klopp also had an off day. Didn't try to change anything from the line with 2 unused subs with some poor performances on the pitch. Let's get into the goals, because I don't want people thinking we're not giving Brentford credit, and at the same time people are saying you're giving them way too much credit. Brighton went there and won last week and dominated, and that's why I think you can have an off day. There's absolutely there's no doubt about that. But I think there was enough in that game for me in the first 15-20 before the goal where Liverpool could have identified what was going on and rectified it, and they didn't. And I think that comes down to a little bit of nonchalance from Liverpool. I think a little bit of lack of application, and that's where I felt on it. Like, listen, I've no problem with 3-0. We're top of the league, and these things happen. But when I look back at that game, I don't say to myself, you know what, Liverpool done everything they should have, and Brentford were brilliant. I think Liverpool were nowhere near what they should have been, and that's just the levels I expect Liverpool to be at. I'm not going to absolutely lash players and managers over it, and I'm not going to tell you Brentford are the best team in the country. But when I looked at it yesterday, the cold light day afterwards, I went, with a few cans of me now, I'm being honest, but I looked at it and went, Yeah, it's a 3-3, and I agree with Seany. You take the draw and you run away from it, because we could have been done near the end, and most of it, I think, was application. But we'll see. But the
But it
first
was
goal,
a ding-dong game. But before we move on to the goals, it was a ding-dong game because there was chances. There's two cleared off the line on both ends, and while their goals weren't great, they were creating some nice opportunities for themselves, and they were creating good chances. It was a really good game. If you take our blinkers off, I suppose, and you were looking at it as a neutral, great game of football.
Yeah,
3-3, loads of chances, mistakes.
I was watching it with another Liverpool fan, a United fan, and an Arsenal fan, and we're all just sitting there going, "This is a bleeding great game of football." It was brilliant.
You go to the saying, like, you can use this one for this one. In boxing, they say you box a fighter and you fight a boxer.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't control the game at all at any stage yesterday, because they just literally bypassed the midfield. Like, they just bypassed the midfield the whole game. It was a game where I'd say if we missed one play yesterday, it would have been the quality of a Thiago to kind of, because he is that metronomic type of player who will
foot on the ball and move it around and dictate.
He would set the pace in the game, and we didn't do what I think we did. We did 10-minute spell after our third where Jota has a chance and then Salah has a chance, and I just knew. I said, they will fucking get something here, because we just were not on it. Like, it was a bad day at the office for us. A bad day at the office with an ordinary result, I'd say. I don't think people should be overreacting and losing that show. This season is going to be mad. Just look at how quick everything is changing. Spurs went level with Arsenal today after Arsenal went level with Spurs today after not winning their first three. Spurs are top of the league at the first international break. They haven't won a game since. They couldn't win an argument at the moment. Last week, that Chelsea team was a mix of the 2005 AC Milan and 1970s Brazil. Tuchel was literally Mourinho prime reincarnated, and the best coach that we'd ever seen. And this football that they were playing, and how pragmatic, and they were fucking shite yesterday. They were like stoked. They didn't have a go at all. Pep was out the door, was falling out with oil states, picking fights with fan bases. Again, City are the league favourites again after that win yesterday. So the narratives are just going to keep chopping and changing. It's going to be that sort of season, because fans are back now. So these little teams do like, if that had been an empty stadium yesterday, like if that's totally a pandemic, that's a pandemic game of ball. None of that happens. They were completely playing off the crowd. Every time they won a flick on, the fucking stadium was rocking. You know what I mean?
Stadium,
and you love to see that. Yeah, you love to see that.
Yeah.
It was like, I didn't enjoy a minute of that fucking game yesterday, because I know you are saying it was a great game of ball.
I get you, yeah.
It was torture for me, because we had so little control after what was going on. If you actually look at our goals, like the three ridiculous goals.
Yeah.
The three ridiculous goals. So it was a ding dong that we both played, took a point and called it a day, and we'll see us on the other side of Christmas. But I'm telling you now, I won't be looking forward to that fixture next year, because they will stay up, and they are going to be that's going to be a difficult place to go.
We bashed them there next season.
Well, you could be right, Gav, because Ivan Toney might be leading the line for us next season.
Good red.
Grizz,
he was brilliant yesterday.
He was, and someone told me he's only 5'10" or something, and he like a salmon in the air. Unbelievable. Yeah, he's unbelievable.
I'm 5'10". Yeah, we're all us 5'10" lads. Tell you, great in the air.
Can you jump that high?
Yeah, easy peasy.
Yeah, over
easy
a wall,
peasy.
not for a header. Grizz, I'm going to give you the first goal, because a couple of things on it. It's a well-worked goal by Brentford, all right, but I think it's Jones that's quite lazy and watching the ball go behind him. I don't think the defenders do enough to stop a cross, and then I don't know what Fabinho's doing at the back post. Genuinely don't know what he's doing. But first of all, the goal itself, from a Brentford and Liverpool point of view, and also just talk to me about Fabinho yesterday.
Yeah, the goal's indicative of just set the tone for the game, didn't it? In terms for us, players switching off, not being alive, alert to the situation. If that was a training move goal, why hadn't it been analysed? If they've used that before, or is it something not used before? I just thought, it was a poor goal to concede. I'm not giving them as much credit as everyone else is. A lot of people have given them credit. I'm not. I generally think a lot of teams are going to beat them there. A lot of teams, a lot of the big teams will go there and beat them. And I don't think they had to play. I think they had to play basic patterns. They were playing basic one, getting through us, which is so frustrating. Like for example, the first goal you talk about. So it's 2 against 1 in a situation, and then one guy loiters outside. Who was it? Canos who loitered.
Canos puts the cross in.
The cross is in it, so he loiters just around Curtis. Curtis switches off for a millisecond, and that gives him that space where Curtis could be, blocking that. And then, the rest of the situation is very difficult to give Fabinho a shout in that situation because it happened so quick. You can't give, because a lot of people were saying give the other player should have given Fabinho, or even Alisson should have said man on. Possibly Alisson could have, but in that situation, the first thing that you're taught as a defender is get it out of play and then argue later. And that's exactly what Fabinho didn't do. Fabinho, for whatever reason, didn't see, feel, smell the danger behind him. And that's all it took. Fair play to the guy. He got an outstretched boot to it. It's one of those goals that we conceded pre-Virgil, wasn't it? Like, do you remember, Gav? Yeah. We spoke about Virgil's first performance, first comeback in pre-season at Anfield, and I said, when I heard him say focus in the middle of the in the middle of the goal, I thought, yeah, we're good this season. He's back to make us, refocus and everything. It was totally opposite. It was like everyone had lost their voice, everyone had lost their composure and organization. It was literally down to organization, the goals that we conceded. And that's the sad part of it. It wasn't, I don't think, anything technical. I generally don't. I know there's been clips put out of sort of plays where we're outnumbered and this and that. I genuinely think it's lack of miscommunication. Lack of miscommunication, I'd say.
Yeah. So they're very good technically, Grizz. They have some.
I don't think they are. I really don't think they're very good technically.
Your man,
they didn't have to be.
Your man Norgard and Yanel spraying balls around the place yesterday, picking locks in mid.
I didn't see it. I didn't see that. Okay. I genuinely didn't see that.
Fair enough.
I genuinely thought they played channel balls. They played overloads on our fullback, which is not overly technical for me. I just think they knew where to target us and tried their best to make the most of it, and they did, and we couldn't handle it.
Their goals were all sloppy. That's the thing with them. I'm looking at it there, right, and the first goal. Fabinho is too lazy on that because the ball comes to Canos. Canos puts it across. It's not a great cross. He puts it a bit behind Tony. Tony flicks it. Yeah. AR, I think, is coming in on it and misses it. So it's like it's a pinball job, but it's not going super fast. And yet it comes in. It was a sloppy goal. But I agree with Seany. I think they're a very good team. I think they're midfield lads. And your man Frank Onyeka as well is a bit of a destroyer. But they're going to work teams very, very hard. And we didn't have the players that we needed.
The numbers they get in the box and then the distribution from the two boys in the middle, like, yeah, man, that German fella, he won't be there for long.
Yeah,
he's not going to be there for long. I just think, and this is what they do. This is their model. They take really good players and they sell them on. They saw Lolly Watkins and Ben Rama on. So the club is running like this. They obviously have a really good scouting network to pick up players. Technically very good players. And look, Watkins has gone on to be a really good Premier League striker, in my opinion. And Ben Rama has proven this year that he's a very good player as well. So they know exactly what's going on there. I was just surprised at how physical they were. It's not something that I had them down to be, that sort of side. But look, we got into a thing. We got our noses bloodied yesterday. I think that was a kick up the hole that we probably needed. It's just unfortunate that we drop points on a day where rivals are playing each other. But we need to have a little bit of look at perspective and think, look, we went 1 clear yesterday when it could have been 3. We have a massive opportunity. I think we're the only team now out of all of, not even more so United. United have won 2 Premier League titles already this season. with that wins at home to Newcastle and Leeds.
Yeah.
Chelsea have had a couple of real statement performances. I think that was a real statement performance from City on yesterday morning. I think we need a statement performance next Sunday. I think we do need a statement performance next Sunday to show that, look, we are going to be fucking in here. We're not really involved in any of the talk now for the title with any of the pundits or whatsoever. But we actually need to go out and put on a big performance next Sunday to show that.
Get the shit out of our system yesterday.
Yeah, 100%.
And party the proper stuff in next week.
You just hope that acts as a kick up the hole. I know you said that yesterday, Gav, but that's all we can hope. People saying City and Chelsea will destroy that Brentford team. It doesn't fucking matter.
Like, it doesn't work like that.
City couldn't beat Southampton at home last week.
Yeah.
It's this the Premier League. This is the way it is. It doesn't work like that.
Well, I want to move on to the Jota goal. Henderson with the assist. And Keith, he's unbelievable in the air. And when you look at that ball in the box, he's the only one in there. Salah plays it to Henderson. When Henderson clips her in the box, the only person in the box is Diogo Jota. And there's 3 defenders that comes over. And not only does he keep his eye on it and gets into that little pocket, it's a brilliant header. It's a brilliant header. And we needed it, didn't we? Because it's 4 minutes after they score, and you're thinking the longer it goes on, the more confident they get. And, you know, like Seany said earlier, and Grizz, the 2 up front, they were working well, and they'll run behind you, and they'll stretch it. And if it's 1-0 for too long, you start getting worried that that's where you get caught again. But his movement is ridiculous for me. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. We spoke briefly. You know, Christopher Royer is about 6'5", 6'6". Pontus Jansson's a big guy. Ethan Pinnock's a big guy. Jota's not climbing above these and getting a towering header. He's got a couple of headers this season where he's nearly standing on the ground, and he's just getting a little bit of lift and bang, he's getting his headers. He directs them. He's excellent at heading the ball. Quite similar actually to Bobby. Bobby's actually not bad at heading the ball as well. Doesn't get the credit for it, but Jota is a bit of a bleeding dead eye when it comes in the air. I think he's struggling a bit in the last few games with his chances. Obviously, he missed the sitter last weekend. But when the ball comes in the air for him, he just knows where to bury it, and you don't expect it from a player like that. It was an excellent worked goal. As we said there, you know, it was a game of 2 teams. We got 3 excellent goals. I thought Brentford got 3 scrappy goals, but it's all worth the same at the end of the day. It's a great ball in by Henderson. I think Trent slides him in, or Salah. Who was it? Or is it Salah. Jones? Salah, is it? Salah slides it in. And Henderson just gets it up there and puts it into the danger zone. It's one of the things that Henderson is very good at as well. You know, it's when he plays on that right-hand side of the midfield 3 and he gets around and can put in a cross like that. That maybe we weren't seeing from Harvey Elliott when he was there. Different type of player, totally. But Henderson does have that delivery. You saw when was it Mane? He got a header against City 2 years ago, was it? Henderson got to the line and pinged one back as well. He is actually very good at getting the ball in from there. But you put it in, Jota has no right to win that header when you've got 3 big giant centre backs in there, but he does. And you know, it was very important. You said it there, Gav. The score within 4 minutes. You're not letting the crowd whip them up. Do you know what I mean? And it's hard to put them back in that box. And we done it again sort of later on as well. But yeah, it was a vital that we scored there, because as the game was going on, you're looking at it and you do. Seany said he had this feeling. It's like, this isn't going to be the day. And to get the goal quickly was key. Yeah,
it was. And just moving into the second half, because I'm dying to get onto this. And Seany, I'll come to you. Mo Salah makes it 2-1. Is a 100 league goal for Liverpool. Every week we're talking about him doing something different, but and he does miss a chance at 3-2 that will probably put the game to bed. But he's there again. He's scoring again. It's outrageous what he's doing. And when I was looking up some of the lists of how quick he's got to 100 Premier League goals, and you know how quick his record is amongst other Liverpool greats, it's just madness. There's no other word for it. It's madness. Like.
Yeah, he's. I'll say it with my chest. He's the best player in the world at the moment. I think. Simple as that. in this moment
Who
of
else
time.
is that? Yeah.
There's nobody in better form than Mo Salah at the moment for me. People can say what they want. You can name me players from leagues you pretend to watch, but I'm not really interested because he is literally the best player in the world at the moment, and he was actually so good at the back end of last year that nobody sort of mentioned it. But just the second goal, Gav, was like, it's textbook Fabinho, and then it's textbook Salah. Like the pass from Fabinho was outrageous, and then the finish, like he makes the most difficult finishes look easy, but obviously he misses the one at the sitter at 3-2, but we can't be overcritical on Mo because who knows where we'd be without him at the moment. He's so good. The records speak for themselves. I watched the video that Liverpool put up today, the 100.
Madness, wasn't it? It was great.
It's just like, it's just, he's ridiculous. He's so good. Lucky to have him, and I really do hope that he does sign a contract and stays on, because at what age is he now? 30.
29.
I expect him to operate at this level for another 5 or 6 years, to be honest. Look at the fella. Look at the cut of him. The fella is made out.
He's in the Ronaldo sort of mold, isn't he? Like
he's made out of granite. He's made out. He's just a rock.
He's my inspiration.
You can tell.
Yeah,
you can tell.
But Grizz,
he's the reason I've gone on the liquid diet.
All right, Grizz, I want to come to you because there was another little thing here from Optus Sport that said Liverpool FC have existed for 129 years. No Reds player has ever gotten to 100 top flight goals quicker than Mo Salah. Not Gerrard, not Torres, not Suarez, not Fowler, no one. He's a winger. The Egyptian king is already a bona fide Anfield legend. I don't think you can argue with that, Grizz, can you?
Look, sorry, go on, Shawnee. You was going to say something.
Like bona fide Premier League legend.
No, listen. At the end of the day, right? Don't let that line about he's a winger go past you.
Yeah,
don't let that go past you. Stop and read that again to yourself. Read the names of those strikers, and those are just Liverpool legends, right?
Then go Premier League as well.
No, hold on, Keith. This is what I was going to say. Then go through the Premier League legends that he's beaten in terms of speed to the 100 goals, and then see the only 3 players that are ahead of him are Shearer, Aguero, and Kane. Are you fucking having a laugh? Like, this guy's a right winger, and every heat map, every fucking statistician will show you. Yeah, that's the one. Will show you. Will have heat map of Salah covering that area. So there's no proof. No opposition fan or any critic of his can tell me, but he plays in a system where it enables you to be through the middle. No, he fucking doesn't. He doesn't. It's his intelligence, pure intelligence and desire. And as Shawnee says, his general well-being, he's perfect. He's the perfect example to any young footballer in terms of how to keep yourself going and in tip-top condition. And the rest is just his natural instinct and desire to score goals. Very similarly to Cristiano Ronaldo. And I don't say that slightly because we know Cristiano Ronaldo is, one of the all-time greats. But this guy is on the way to being one as well, in my humble opinion.
He is for me. I think he's just unbelievable, and I keep getting into rows over him and Luis Suarez, and I get where people go when they love watching Luis Suarez, but there's no comparison of Luis Suarez at Liverpool to Mo Salah for me. Keith, Klopp on Salah. This is a tweet from Paul Gorst. He says, exceptional. 2 weeks ago we got 100 in the league, now 100 for LFC. We have to give him another shirt with 100 on it. His numbers are insane, incredible, but I know Mo, and he thinks about the 2 he missed. Of course, an outstanding achievement. And that little bit in the middle, Keith, he thinks about the 2 that he missed. That's the drive Grizz is talking about, isn't it? That's the appetite to just get better and better and better, regardless of what age he is or what numbers he puts up.
Yeah, the thing with Salah, we've seen strikers down the years in the Premier League, that they'd miss chances and it'll get into their head, or they take so many chances to get their goals. We think of the numbers he has and think of the chances that he misses. this fella is absolutely outrageous. Do you know what I mean? Like he doesn't get the credit he deserves. We say this all the time, but the fact he knows what he can do, he's not worrying about, you know, if Ronaldo's in the league or Lukaku was in the league or whatever, whoever's in the league. Mo Salah is looking there and thinking, right, I'm going to go for 30 goals in this league this season. I don't give a shiny shite what else anyone other striker is doing. I'm going to do this. If I have an off day, I'll still get a goal and I'll still be looking at the next game. So many players go through the patch where they just, it gets in their head. My missus, we were watching the game here, and my missus just said to me before he scored, because I hope he doesn't have a Mike alone. No, wasn't he stuck on 199 for a while trying to get to his 100th? Went a good while, Mike alone, trying to get, and she goes, I hope he doesn't have that. And within 2 minutes or something, he scored. But she picked up as well on the thing. She was disgusted that he done a VAR on it, because they took away from his joy of getting his 100th goal. Now, I was delighted that the lads went over.
He takes away from himself. He keeps turning around the fucking linesmen and saying,
that's what I was going to say. He's done it against Milan as well the other day. He's looking over. He's
kind of looking on, I'm not sure.
Said he's now Luis Garcia. Just fucking run and celebrate. Do you know what I mean? Just get off and celebrate. But you could see what it meant to him and what it meant to the teammates. And when the lads are right, you know, when you look at the players that he's got there quicker than in Liverpool, and you seen the stat there today, like that is he behind Didier Drogba in the all-time 3 goals or something behind Didier Drogba? But Mane is only like 115 games. Yeah, but Mane is only like 5 behind Drogba as well. And we've got like 2 African players in the team that are going to overtake Didier Drogba. And if you look at the standing that Didier Drogba has in the Premier League, people would say he's one of the best strikers ever to play in the Premier League. Mo Salah's putting his goal record on bleeding toast here. And he's blown the arse off it. You know, look at the players that he's outscored. And Grizz touched on something there. Look at his heat maps. Ronaldo went to Madrid. And even at United at the end, he played a lot centrally. You know, he moved centrally to get his goals. Salah still plays quite wide. At Madrid, Ronaldo was essentially gone centre forward. Do you know what I mean? And he adapted his game and he became a goal machine. Look, there's no argument about that. Salah's still doing his work off that wing. It's reminiscent. Maybe Henry is the only one that went wide as much in that top echelon of Premier League goal scorers, but Mo Salah he's not going central, which I thought he might have seen him more central. He's not. He's still staying out on the wing. He's doing all this damage from the right wing.
Yeah, but the thing about Thierry Henry was Arsenal's main striker. He was the central striker. The reason Henry used to pull wide was to expose people and get them one-on-one in those areas. And it wasn't really wide. What he used to do was he used to come into an inside left channel. He would never stand out on the touchline. But what he'd do is he'd pull you wide, a little bit wider and out of the central areas, and then he'd look to expose you because there'd be a gap between you and your centre-half mate. And if he got by you, he was into a gap and you were never catching him. He was outrageous, Thierry Henry, like fucking outrageous. But Salah, for me, is just a winger that scores ridiculous amounts of goals. You do look at his heat map, it's literally all the way up the right wing and then moves in slightly. But you never see a massive thing where it's like he's always in the middle of the goal. He's not. The only time he's in the middle of the goal is usually when he's just scoring. You know, he does an awful lot of work off the right hand side, and he just is a winger. Chris Brack says Drogba got 104. Salah will smash that in over 100 games less, I think, is what he means. But it was madness. But Grizz, moving
insane.
on.
That's insane.
Yeah,
you know,
and when you look at the size that Chelsea that Drogba played in,
absolutely one of the most
two
dominating teams. Yeah,
over 2 seasons they were unbelievable. Chelsea, for 4, 5, and 5, 6, they were brilliant.
Insane.
But it's just mad numbers. And even when you put that list up, like you've all seen it, like the quickest to 100 Premier League goals, and I think only above him. I think he actually done it quicker. He might have done it quicker than Henry, but it's like Aguero, Kane, Shearer. You know, and they're just 3 out-and-out strikers. They're just 3 killers.
They're not pulling wide.
No. Shearer never pulled wide.
Centre backs and fullbacks.
Aguero loved to play in that 10. The only place Aguero used to go would be he pulled maybe a little bit left or right, but usually a little bit deeper sometimes. He would. He would in his game. He had it in his game, Aguero, where he could create as well as be a main striker. Shearer was just a killer down the middle.
Them boys took penalties as well for the forward. Like Salah didn't get on penalties until halfway through his second, third season.
Yeah, but they're central strikers. And you look at Aguero, you look at Shearer, Kane. You know, people go on about the creativity of Kane, and we seen it mostly under Mourinho for me. But he's just a fella in front of goal. You know what I mean? There's no more words from him. There's just really not. You just have to. Yeah, it's going to get to the stage where he's going to keep doing this, and people are going to go, yeah, but he's Mo Salah. That's what it's going to get to.
That's the thing now, isn't it? Is that only Mo Salah has this. Yeah. Only Mo Salah has this. Only Mo Salah has this, and that's the legacy he'll leave behind. I think everyone now loves nostalgia, and they looking back at these players, but Salah won't really get his flowers until he's gone, I feel, because
most don't.
Yeah, exactly, and that's just normally how it goes. But he is as elite gets, and long may it continue. Because to be honest with you, he is the type of player that can win this league on his own. That's just how good he is.
He is that good, and the shape he's in, Sean. You look at him, and he's just a machine. And people would say he might lose a yard of pace. He's becoming way more intelligent in his game for me.
He's more rounded for the team now.
He's way more rounded in his game, and how he's looking to. You remember Mo Salah used to get it, and you go, he's so quick. He's just going to look to burst past people. But now he's looking to bring players into play and that negates that any lack of pace that he might or yard of pace he's lost.
He's playing with a smile on his face as well, which is nice to see.
Yeah,
because it hasn't always been the case for him, to be honest with you. Now, I just hope that the contract situation is sorted out.
Just give him the fucking contract.
It will be a massive boost to us, to be honest with you. I really do, because he's really starting to feed off the energy of the fans now. You can see the jerseys had to come on off a couple of times this season. And Keith said something earlier that he won't care that. I think Ronaldo being in the league is good for him. I think that would be sort of a benchmark for him to think, I'm going to outdo you every week. He
goes to try beat Harry Kane in goals every year.
Lovren put up a post today, and Lovren actually blocked out his response because he said, because Lovren said,
it's definitely a thing. Yeah, it's definitely a thing. They talk about it all the time,
but what I meant was he doesn't worry about them. Do you know what I mean? He will channel that and he'll use it, because as Gav said, Harry Kane, he always knows. Even Mane, he wants to beat Mane every season because that'll come down then to who'll win the African Footballer of the Year. Do you know what I mean? Who has a better season between them two?
But it's true.
So he does use that and feed off it.
But that is another important thing. Like Seany spoke about his smile and sort of his demeanor is more positive, and Gav spoke about his all-rounded game, and part of that is the interplay we're seeing now between the three, whoever three are there, and Elliot. Before Elliot got injured, you could see they're working in tandem now, and where we used to say Bobby is the key to that, I think it's Salah now. Salah is the key to that now, and you see him receive the ball in so many situations where normally you think head down, try to beat the man, or cut inside, take a shot. There's so much variety to his game now every time he gets the ball. And it's almost like Sadio Mane's role. If you guys remember, Sadio Mane used to have that role a lot.
Yeah, and I think if you look at and it's been on the midweek fix a couple of times with the average positions of the right side of midfielder with Trent and with Salah, they're getting so much closer to him. And the reason I think they're getting so much closer is because they're using, where they used to try to get Salah to expose a fullback, leave him out there on his own and let him go at people, where that usually is being doubled up on. They're putting more numbers around Salah, and by putting more numbers and more bodies around Salah, it means that the other team has to fucking stretch a bit more, and weirdly leaves more room for him to play. And I think because he is becoming more rounded, instead of looking to expose players on his own, like Harvey Elliott is a brilliant example. He was striking up such a relationship, and Seany's never stopped going on about it. The relationship he was striking up with Harvey Elliott, where he trusted Harvey Elliott so much that he'd give him the ball and go, I'm going to give this to this fella, and he's going to know where to put it from me in a minute, and we're going to take 2 or 3 players out of the game instead of me having to try beat 2 or 3 on my own. I think that's probably the hardest thing about the Harvey Elliott thing. I think the relationship that was striking with Mo Salah is a huge loss in it all. Dinesh, with the longest YouTube name in the world, I can't read it all out, but Dinesh says he thinks Mo Salah will become the best Liverpool player in the Premier League's history, and he knows, in his opinion, that Liverpool are going to win the Champions League and Champions League. I think that's a huge show from Dinesh. I like it though. And Chris Brack says his interplay has much improved. Grizz,
Don't be
It
threatening me with a good time, Dinesh.
It goes. We don't forget anything on this show. But Grizz, it goes 2-2, and then Curtis Jones makes a 3-2 with a cracking hit. And I thought he was our best midfielder yesterday, just to put that on record, right? And then he subs him off. Now, firstly, Grizz, the goal, really confident, comes inside, good strike, little clip it off the defender, I think. But then he takes him off, Grizz. Did you find that weird? Or did you just think Klopp is just, they're looking at it and they're thinking, you know, Jones hasn't played loads and loads of football, might be going in his legs a little bit. What did you make of it? I thought it was a strange one to take him off.
Yeah, I thought. Look, first a word on Jones, because there's always this sort of there seems to be a section of the fan base that sort of like to sort of speak ill of a player when another emerges. So the emergence of Harvey Elliott has suddenly caused the wankers in the fan base to start questioning Curtis Jones now. And it's stupid, absolute silly. I keep forgetting he's 20, Gav. He's 20 years old. And he's being asked to play in probably one of the most tactically sort of astute central midfields in European football, in a Jurgen Klopp central midfield. And he's been asked in his very small career to play a variety of roles. And he's done everything that's been asked of him in one of our most horrendous seasons injury-wise. And, people are out there sort of questioning his ability. I've never questioned his ability. Never. I just wanted to see, just from a selfish, my point of view, means fuck all to him. But I just wanted to see myself, for him to create a definitive position for himself in this team. I didn't want him to become a jack of all trades and a master of none, because I think he's got the ability to become a proper footballer in one. A Grealish, he could be our Grealish, for example. I thought yesterday's performance was brilliant. I think he was clear of our midfield, the other midfielders. I thought the goal is what we asked for. Goal contributions. Doesn't have to be goals, but just create chances, take shots. Because watching him in the under 20s, under 21s, like I did manage to quite a bit over a couple of years, he's always come across as a calm finisher, a cool finisher, a confident finisher, a creator, and I thought yesterday that goal, it took a slight deflection, but it was a brilliantly struck goal.
Superb.
And the timing of look, Gav, even if, like you suggested, maybe Klopp thought his legs were running out a bit, when you've scored a goal like that, let me tell you, because I've scored a few like that.
Give him another 10.
When the adrenaline don't let you fucking stop for 10, 50 minutes. You press like a mother. You understand? For the 10, 50 minutes. And that's what we needed. That's what we needed at that time. We didn't need a fresh Bobby, even though Bobby is fucking press for himself. But Bobby's a total different type of player energy-wise, especially we've seen coming off the bench. I thought it was the wrong move. If we didn't take the lead, that was the move I was looking to do. But the fact that we had taken the lead, you give the kid 5-10 minutes to press like anything. And then you assess the situation.
It was a strange one for me because, like, regardless of what was going on in that game, like, and you've all mentioned it earlier, they're bypassing their midfield. All right? Now, Bobby Firmino's one of his biggest attributes is he comes on and plays up front, he links play, he gets some goals, he gets some assists. But one of his biggest attributes is when teams look to play in midfield, he's there and he's around them and he's trying to nick balls out them and he puts them under pressure and allows us to win the ball back. But when a team is playing where they're going, we've no interest in our three midfielders. We're going to put it up there, and if we win a flick on, we're going to chase it. And if it drops down, our three midfielders are going to be on it. Bobby Firmino's not going to chase down 50 yards up the pitch to try to get it off them. So I agree. Like I would have left Curtis Jones on and went, give him another 5. All right, give him another 5. And because he's in the area of the park where they're still going to look to exploit and they're still going to look to, win second balls and stuff like that. Maybe he wanted to bring Firmino on. Why didn't he bring him on for Jota? Just change something up front. Bring him on for a Mane. Stick Jota out wide. You know what I mean? Do something like that. But it made very little sense to me as to why that sub was being made after he just scored. I agree. You give him 5 more minutes, but the positional
Bobby
sense
was
of it,
stripped and all, wasn't he? He was
yeah,
stripped
but the
before the
positional
goal.
sense of it was a
They
bit
was making
strange.
that sub.
I thought it was a bit strange.
Well,
Don't
lads,
get
do
me
you know what
wrong.
it is? Just
Don't get me
very
wrong.
quickly.
If Curtis Jones doesn't score there, I can kind of get the idea why you bring him on, because you're looking to unlock and he's that sort of player. But when he scores, you're kind of going, well, this is only going to be ramped up now, where they're going to just bypass and start hitting balls. It just didn't make sense. Go on, Grizz, Keith.
I'm just going to finish off by saying it literally was Jurgen Klopp. So we've spoken about sort of why didn't he change certain stuff, and if he saw certain stuff going on at the start of the game, during the game, why didn't he adjust accordingly? I genuinely thought he looked at their team and their forwards and everything. He looked at ours and he said, all right, you want a fucking gunslinging match? Let's do it. We'll outscore you. It was back to that Jurgen Klopp for me, that mentality. And he thought, I'm going to outscore you guys. If you guys going to fucking come at me with 5, 6 people in our box, we'll counter you with our 3, 4 forwards. And I genuinely think that was the game plan, as opposed to what I wanted. What do we know? Or a lot of people were asking for was bring on Konate, double up on Trent's side, and then just firm it up. But Jurgen Klopp is that type of manager who's as mad as Frank for the other team. Thomas Frank, is it?
Yeah.
He thought, all right, well, if you're brave enough and to do it against my team, I'll fucking show you brave. And I generally thought Klopp got into the emotion of things as well and thought, we'll outgun them. Because it literally, look, even though it was 3-3 guys, that could have been 5-2, 4-2 at the end. Very, very easily. Yeah. Because we had a quick fire 3 gilt-edged chances. And that
which, if we take them, the substitution is fine. The hindsight's a great thing. And
then we would have said, plucky Brentford. Yeah. Thanks, brilliant atmosphere, lovely. We
great change by Klopp. Klopp going for that and going with the 4 attackers. If Mo puts in the one that he should have put in, it's a different outlook. And look, I think the Curtis Jones thing, I thought he was very good. I know we said he switched off on their first goal, but he hasn't played. He hasn't had a lot of minutes this season. And I can understand them maybe protecting him a bit. But yeah, I agree with the lads. You play the hot hand and he's just scored. Whether Bobby is stripped and they're going to make that sub, you've seen it 100 times before. You just put a top or a bit back on the blade, the player on the line, tell him to sit, and we get you on in a few minutes. It was a strange one, but like I said, it could have been different. If Mo takes a chance and we were 4-2 up and then we run out winners, it's all great. It's a tactical masterclass.
It's just for me, the change is coming in that area of the pitch where he's looking to change it because we're not winning, and then we are winning. And I'm kind of looking, going, you probably need to keep your midfield as strong as you can. And all right, there could be things around, analytics around Curtis Jones and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I think you give him 5 more minutes. And if you think, no, his legs are still going here, we need more, I don't even think Firmino's the change then. So it was a bit, look, it's one of those. Shaka says 1 sub in 95 minutes. Klopp could have done better, in his opinion. Dinesh has another super chat, and he says he became a Liverpool fan after watching the 86 Cup final against Everton and winning the double at the age of 11. In 86 and 89, Liverpool could have won the UFC. I presume he means because they'd fight for anything and they deploy themselves like that. The 87-88 team of Liverpool is ridiculous.
I don't know. UCL, is it a typo? Does it mean the Champions League?
UFC
because we were banned. I know, but does it mean the Champions League?
I don't know. Maybe he just thinks we could have won anything because we were fighters. I don't know.
Could have won the UFC before it was established.
We could have started the UFC.
I'm thinking that might be the Champions League, and he might have done a typo.
I want to just talk about. I want to get a man of the match. Obviously, I want to talk about another couple of clubs that over the weekend, right? But Seany, I'll come to you. We've argued this tonight about how good Brentford were, how good or bad we were, application, all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm not saying no harm done. We should have won the game for me, but we didn't. We still get a point. We're still fine.
We didn't lose.
Yeah, just everything's fine. But I want to ask you, Seany, is there a lesson learned there now? Is that something that, Klopp comes out and gives credit to Brentford and says, look, this happened and that happened. But is there a lesson learned there, Seany, where he's going in there today and he's saying, right, that doesn't fucking happen again. Bang, 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 wasn't good enough. It doesn't happen again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we got our nose bloody yesterday by Brentford. I really do. we were lucky in the end. It was. I know we said we had gilt-edged chances, but Ivan Toney goes clean through in the 90th minute, and Van Dijk does as Van Dijk normally does. He makes an unbelievable block, and I thought he was going to be out for another season after it. Because I just
the way you felt.
looked like the maddest challenge ever. Yeah. It like we got our noses bloody. A few egos would have been bruised yesterday. You know, I think I genuinely do, because little old Ivan Toney coming up from the Championship, and your man in Wembo, they gave our boys a run around. And we were talking on this podcast about, and I still do believe they are, one game won't change my opinion. The best centre-back pair in Europe at the moment are Van Dijk and Matip, and I don't think anybody would have many arguments if you said that, to be honest with you. And they got the run around yesterday. They really did. They were out-battled, out-fought, outwitted, and beaten with quality. And that's not something that we can normally level at Van Dijk. And I'm not digging them out, because they're human at the end of the day. We have no divine right to win every single game.
Exactly.
And yesterday was proof that if you don't show up, and if you don't turn up, and if the opposition catches you out cold, you will get fucking turned over. I think we were blessed not to get turned over yesterday in the end, because I think over the 90-day we're the better side than us. I know we had chances at 3-2.
They done their job better.
Which we did, and they did, Gav. They implemented the gameplay better. In the end, I could probably put my hand up and say, yeah, you probably are right. The application could have been a factor, but Porto away now, City away, City at home, 2 massive games, and you keep going. We're still unbeaten. We're clear at the top, no matter what way you look at it, and we will move on. And it should act as a lesson that if you're not on it in this league with fans back in the grounds, it can get fucking sticky. It can get hairy. And look, we live to tell the tale, I feel, because we had a won yesterday. We could have still been top of the league, I reckon. I think on whatever way it worked out. But a let off, I feel. A let off for a bad performance.
Yeah, just I think you let off, and I think something where it's just a little reminder that you have to be completely on it. You're a brilliant footballing side. You play great football. You mix it with anyone. But if you don't apply yourself to the levels that Liverpool expect you to apply to, this is what can happen. And I think, you know what, sometimes you need it. Sometimes you do need it, because like you said, Seany, if we'd have won that yesterday 4-2, right, you'd be coming away going, yeah, they had a goal, but we won 4-2, and it nearly consolidates that sort of, we turned up on one thing, and it can hurt you in a bigger game next week or the week after or the week after that. So it's one of those. Grizz, I want to start with you with man of the match.
Can I jump in with something very quick before we go on to man of the match? Just something very quick. It's something that's going on in the chat. I can see loads of people commenting saying, oh, City hop off them, Chelsea will hop off them. That's not how it works. City got, 0-0, was it at home against Southampton?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Man United beating at home by Villa yesterday. That's not, just because Liverpool didn't beat Brentford and City beat Brentford, it doesn't mean that. The team on the day perform, and they performed well yesterday. They were up for it. They played Arsenal there in the first day of the season, but that's the biggest match they've had so far. Liverpool in there, place was rocking, 5:30 kick-off. That was a big, huge game for them. Who knows when they play City? Who knows what state they'll be in? So it doesn't matter if City hop off them or not. We could hop off Southampton. Doesn't mean anything. Do you know what I mean? So we have to get that idea out of our head. Just because City had beat them, or big deal. We can beat them at Anfield. We can beat any team. We have to stop thinking, we didn't beat them, but City will beat them. Who cares?
The flip side of that, Key, is we will beat better sides than Brentford this year.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the coin, we will actually be beaten by teams who are worse than them.
Yeah.
And that is 100%. Coming down the line. So that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's football. We have no divine right to win every fucking game.
100%. 100%.
It's the way, if you don't show up, you could get turned over. Everyone's going mad about transfers already in the fucking chat.
I know, it's fucking mad. Because
Jamrock
says,
will you?
Jamrock says,
fucking laptops. FIFA 22 has early access out tonight. Go on and fucking sign all the players you want.
Jamrock says, horrible draw. Basuma rumour. I don't know anything about a Basuma rumour. Does anybody know anything about a Basuma rumour? Has anyone read anything about a Basuma?
Sounds like an ice cream.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard or read anything about Basuma. He's at Brighton, who can go top of the league, I think, tomorrow.
Yeah. Why would he want to leave?
Yeah. How many points
He's
is he on?
been, what I will say, he's been one of the outstanding performers in the first 6 weeks.
Yeah.
He's been absolutely immense for Brighton.
Yeah, they've done
He's
really,
playing for
really
his
well.
move. He's playing for his move,
Yeah.
isn't he?
He's playing for his move. I hope he doesn't get injured before his move. But Grizz, I'll get back to you, and I want to start with you at man of the match.
Clear for me. Young Curtis Jones. Amazing. 20-year-old. Bloody hell. Only going to get better.
Okay. Seany?
Yeah, can't disagree with Jones. Thought he was very good. Special mention to Mao, but that's just his level at the moment. We can't be giving it to him every week.
Keith?
Yeah, full house. I agree. Echo what Seany said. Mo, he is what he is, but Curtis, I thought, was bang on it yesterday, and I think he deserves it. Before we move on as well, I was a bit annoyed with Brentford. I don't know if it's just me. They build Mo Salah from the first kick-off. Do teams do this with every quality player that goes?
Yeah, well, Leeds done it to him a couple of weeks ago
Yeah.
as well.
But do they do it to Kevin De Bruyne or Ronaldo or anything, or is it this is Mo Salah specific?
I don't know.
But my issue as well, they had shit songs, like it was all when Alisson would have the ball, or your shit, all these sort of old school. There's a bang of lower leg off Brentford that they need to shake off really quick. The sort of the lads who go away with England and all that. They need to distance themselves from that and act Premier League.
Yeah. I like Norwich's evil twin, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's just a complete polar opposite to Norwich. Like, Norwich are just little yellow belly rollovers. Like, that's what I thought Brentford were when they come up saying these fellas are up for a jolly. Like, but they're actually not.
No,
they're a decent outfit.
Good unit.
And in fairness to them, they were very close to getting to the Premier League the year before they got into the Premier League, and I wanted them to get in because they were opening the new stadium. And the first game in the new stadium would have been a Premier League game, but it wasn't to be. But they're back in there. Don't talk to me about football chants because the North London Derby was on today, and my God, they've about 4 songs between them. They share one song, I think, and they take a lend of it off each other. But I'm gonna go. I agree with all of you. I think Curtis Jones is the man of the match. I think Fabinho struggled in midfield. I think Henderson, the work rate wasn't there from Henderson that you usually see, and I think Curtis Jones was trying to do a lot to cover different parts of the pitch for Liverpool because of the players around them not being at their best. I think Curtis Jones most definitely deserves man of the match. Just moving on though, and I'm going to give you a team each, right? So we're not here all night. But
Grizz, give me the right team.
Who would you like?
Man City.
Okay, so let's talk City.
Is that one of the teams, though?
No, well, I've got City, so you've said City, so you can have City.
Okay.
They go and win at Chelsea yesterday, and I wasn't surprised because they went and they put pressure on Chelsea and they pressed Chelsea, and I don't think Chelsea have enough. For me, I don't think they have enough creativity wide in their fullback areas or in midfield to actually go and turn over people when they get pressed. And I think you've seen it for 20 minutes against Spurs last week, who we'll get on to in a few minutes. How impressed were you by City, though?
Very impressed. That was, for me, that was the best performance by any team in the Premier League this season. Going to a cocksure, confident, arrogant, almost Chelsea, and a manager who absolutely bottled it. He shat himself, but that's not taking anything. That's not taking anything away from Pep, because Pep, after all the mad selections he's picked for against Chelsea, picked an orthodox formation, the strongest lineup, and in a pivotal week for them bastards, because they had Chelsea, they've got PSG, and then they've got us. And we've known and we've suggested in the past that if City lose their head, they can be mentally fragile. And if you put pressure on them, so for example, if Chelsea had turned them over, PSG away, anything can happen in that game. And we know we can definitely turn them off Anfield. That could be an absolute shit show for them, and probably 6-8 points behind us, lads. I'm not sure about the points difference, but something like that. Instead, that performance sets them up. And this is why I'm slightly more angry and frustrated at the 2 points dropped against Brentford than maybe some of you in the chat. I'm slightly more frustrated because I know next week's game could have been could have given us a bit more leeway. So for example, going them ahead 1 point ahead, we could have been 3 points ahead, and some may have taken a draw next week. Now I think we really need to beat them, and that will still be a mental blow for them. But I think yesterday's performance will inspire them, and I still say, despite Man United's glory, and Chelsea's, Lukaku and everything else, tactical Tuchel they're calling, tactical Tommy they're calling him or something, whatever. I still think Chelsea and us are the only teams that put 14, 15 wins in a row and blow this league apart. And if they beat us next week, I'm just saying it. I'm not fucking saying they will. I'm saying if they beat us next week, that's the type of run they start, where they win 14, 15 in a row.
I think as much as Thomas Tuchel was giving credit last week away to Spurs when he made one substitution that was fucking screaming at you from 20 minutes in, and he was declared as a footballing genius last week, I think Pep done much the same yesterday. And what I mean by that is that I think if I was Pep Guardiola, the one thing I would have done before travelling to Chelsea would have sat down and watched that Champions League final again. And the lineup I picked and the way I approached it. And he went, and Pep, in fairness, Pep did do something right in that he picked the players in the positions they play in. And he picked a formation that wasn't trying to be too clever by playing a centre midfielder up front. He went with it. But I think what Pep Guardiola would have seen in Chelsea yesterday was, if you suffocate Chelsea, and what I mean by that is if you press them high, okay, and you basically leave one or two of their centre-backs with the ball, and they have to be the one to play it forward, you cut off all service to Romelu Lukaku, and you cut off all service to anyone else around them, whether that be Kai Havertz or anybody else. And when you look at that midfield of Jorginho, Kante and Kovacic, for me, if you press them, I don't think they have enough about them to turn you and expose you. I genuinely don't. You know what I mean? Like, if Chelsea went in there yesterday and had a Thiago, I think you go.
It's harsh on Kovacic.
I don't think he has enough. I think Kovacic is a great engine in him and stuff like that. But I think City would have looked at them yesterday and there's no point in if you let Chelsea play and get the ball near Lukaku and players running off and you're in trouble. If you press them, I think Chelsea are in trouble. You've seen it against Spurs. And Spurs are fucking woeful.
Chelsea weren't great against Villa in the league. They won 3-0, but they actually weren't great in the game.
I don't mean to. I'm not trying to be edgy here. Is there an element of Tuchel getting away with it a little bit? Because the way I see it is, he was pragmatic when he came in. They very nearly finished outside the top four.
Yeah,
they got beaten in the FA Cup final, and they win the Champions League final, of course. But I reckon if they didn't win that Champions League, I don't think he would have got sacked. I think he would have got. I don't think he'd be playing three at the back defensive pragmatic football. I think he's stuck with that now because it actually got him the result last year, and he's just playing his way in with it now. Like, they didn't even sign the centre. I don't think he would have had this approach that he had, and I think this is where they will become undone in a title race, because I don't actually think that that's his natural approach. His first thing to do last year when he came in was, because they were a shambles under Lampard, he literally, with the tools and the players that he had there, he literally said, I'm going to make us really fucking hard to beat. And he did that, and he has done that. He's made them hard to beat. They're not pretty on the eye. They're 11 men behind the ball. I don't think it's like this mental defensive setup that they're just 11 men behind the ball, and then they have a fella who will take, if you give him two chances, you'll at least take one. And that's what Lukaku is. And they I don't think, other than Lukaku, I don't think their offensive quartet is great. I think Havertz is a very good player, but I think he has the tendencies to drift in and out of games. I think Werner is rubbish. I genuinely do. I think he's an awful footballer.
Flush, that lad.
Yeah, he doesn't look good at all. And I'm with you, Gav. I think I do like Kovacic. I think he is a good player. I think he is technical, and Kante is really, really good at what he does. But Jorginho and Kante they're very much specialist players that they're not going to give you major headaches in terms of their attacking impetus on a game. Now, Jorginho is more metronomic. I think Tuchel is in a position now where I don't think he's playing a system he'd actually prefer to play with Chelsea. If they had lost that final last year, his approach would have been different. I think he is slightly getting away with it, just a little bit, because they're way too pragmatic for my liking. And if they go on now and win the league after being solid all year, power to them. But I don't think they will, because for me, the winner of this league will be the winner of the mini league. Yeah. It will be the team who picks up the most points against the top 6. And I think with their approach, I can't see them being on top of that, because you need to remember, for 25 minutes last week against Spurs,
all over the shop.
They were all over the shop.
And this wasn't an impressive Spurs. It wasn't an impressive Spurs press. It was very basic what Spurs done. Yeah. And you see, I think with Chelsea, and look, I think they're a very, very, very good side. I think they'll be most definitely in the top 4. And if things go right for them, they could end up in a proper title race with 6-10 games to go. But I think the narrative around Chelsea is what's hurt teams early in the season. The actual narrative of, they've bought Lukaku, they're the complete fucking team now. And people are saying they'll suffer against teams that park the bus. No, they won't. They'll thrive on that. Because what it means is it gives that team space, and it gives them room, and it gives players opportunity to put balls in boxes for likes of Havertz and, Lukaku and whatever else, and to get chances for them. Whereas if you go out and press Chelsea, in my opinion, and do it well and be very brave, I just don't think they have the players that can turn you and hurt you. I just don't.
Yeah, but Tuchel, this is completely unlike Tuchel anywhere he's been. Dortmund, Mainz, PSG. He hasn't been this sort of manager. Yeah. Now, he's probably looking at, I'll 1-0 against the shite me way to a league, and that will do me. But because he knows, no matter what he does at Chelsea, in 2 or 3 years he's going to be out the gap anyway.
Yeah.
So that's just seems to me. That's why you signed him
on a 1-year deal, rolling.
That's why I think he is. Now, I'm not saying they're a bad side and he's a bad manager. I think they are getting away with it a little bit in terms of the approach. That wouldn't wash with Chelsea fans. If they didn't win the Champions League last year, Chelsea fans wouldn't be having this football.
Yeah.
Not at all. They wouldn't be having a bar of it.
Do you know what? Something was said there about Grizz, I think, said about Liverpool and City are the teams that can put them 10, 12, 13 game winning streaks together. I don't think Chelsea can do that. They can shite away to 1-0. It's not to disrespect them, but I think if you go ahead against Chelsea and you cut off the supply to Lukaku, it's very hard for them to switch the way they play. Now, they miss Mason Mount, but he's a great player. But if they don't get it, if they get ahead of you, they're going to be hard to break down. But if you can get ahead of them, I think they will drop points with draws and silly points along the season that the likes of Liverpool and City won't. And look, I know we're bigging ourselves up, but we've seen it. We've seen Liverpool going on these runs where they'll turn draws into wins. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Chelsea, I think, will stutter along the way, as will Man United. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Grizz, you got City, bro. So I'm going to move on. I'm going to go to Seany, and I want to talk Manchester United. And they get beaten by Villa at Old Trafford early yesterday. And I can't for the life of me understand why Bruno Fernandes is taking that penalty yesterday. And the more I thought about it, I actually thought it was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer basically trying to go around the narrative that you'll see on social media and other places, like Ronaldo will be picking teams and Ronaldo will be making decisions. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer decides that Bruno Fernandes is on penalties because I want to show people I make decisions at this club. Madness, he's on that penalty yesterday for me, Seany.
Yeah, his record is not even that good, sure it's not.
No.
His record is more or less, I think it's probably 50-60%. He does miss, he has missed penalties in the past, but the biggest
hasn't missed one like that.
No, but the biggest, exactly, Keith, the biggest telltale for me yesterday, Gav, was his approach to the penalty. He changed his technique.
Yeah.
He didn't apply his normal, the hop, skip and the jump penalty.
Yeah.
Now, that would suggest he's under pressure.
Yeah,
and in 100%. Fairness, I think Martinez does a very, very good job.
He's fucking great, isn't he?
Yeah. He was literally telling Ronaldo, "Yeah, you should take this penalty because he's gonna miss it." They translated it saying, "Look, you should take it because he's gonna miss," and he didn't just miss; he scored it. Now I know people are turning around saying he's trying to do a Gerard Hodgson job where Gerard scored it. I don't think so, because I think it's a bit of a. I think the lunatics are running the asylum now at United. It won't be soon long before that's what's happening there, because the shield seems to be gone from Ole now on the media, it does seem to be falling an awful lot on him now. You had him, he takes a swipe at Klopp during the week. The week previous, he has a swipe at Ferdinand. The fella has more enemies than Batman now at this stage, and that's literally the cross he's going to create for his own back, because that is a serious United squad, and I won't have anyone tell me any different. If they got Conte in tomorrow, they would be there or thereabouts. There's no doubt about it. I think they have quality all over the pitch. I don't think missing one player in one key area like the DM that they go about. They're always short on 100 million players. Do you ever see that? Like, they're always short of a 50 million man, where nearly every one of their players costs 50 million. And something that nobody touched on yesterday in either Match Today or anything that I watched, the injuries are starting to pile up. Shaw goes off yesterday and Maguire goes off yesterday. Yeah. And before they know it, they'll be going in. And Varane hasn't pulled up trees there. So I do think, looking at United's next 10, 11 games, I think Solskjaer will be under fierce pressure. And although Ronaldo, for me, is up there as one of the greatest footballers ever, I'm not sure he's in it for this shite. I'd say he's going to be looking around going, what the fuck? I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for having to be dogging games out here. I'm at the being sitting pretty in Italy for the last 2 years, where 90% of the teams roll over and let you tickle their belly. Like, you don't get that in England, not in the Premier League. He's just not going to get that. He will score a boatload of goals, but is he the man that's going to pull you out of mire? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think United lack leadership everywhere, and that will tell in the end, because I don't think Ole is a good manager, and I don't think they have a leader between the whole.
Harry Maguire is a terrible captain. Harry Maguire is an awful captain.
So, sadly for me, it looks like this is Solskjaer's final furlong. It really does. It seems like this is a horse ready to go to the glue factory and get the bullet, because they are literally on it's coming. It's coming. So, our worst nightmare.
Winter's coming. Winter is coming.
Yeah, exactly, Grizz. Winter is coming.
But a few people said there he has a better record than Ronaldo at penalties. I think they're fairly similar in record. What I'm saying is that as the senior person in that conundrum, I thought Ronaldo would have taken it, and I think a lot of people would have expected Ronaldo to take it, and I think the decision for Bruno Fernandes to take that penalty goes beyond the record. I think it's for me, and I expect it from Solskjaer now, the way he's going on. I expect him to be thinking about these things, going, I'm putting Fernandes on that to show people that are saying that Ronaldo's doing this, Ronaldo's doing that. I'll show them I'm this and I'm that. He is like that, and he's starting to show that, but it's a bit mad. But Keith, Arsenal beat Spurs today. Arsenal played, in my opinion, okay.
Oh, come on, they were brilliant.
No, they weren't. They played okay. But I tell you something, Spurs were absolutely and utterly appalling today. Yeah. Appalling today. And, like, Arsenal get 3 good goals. But when you look at where Spurs are for these 3 goals, it's absolutely and utterly criminal what's going on. And, Keith, I'm going to put it to you. Them players, he looks like he's lost them players already. And what I mean by that is that they don't want to play in midfield. They don't want to chase. They don't want to press. They don't want to support each other. They played an Arsenal team today, Keith, with Xhaka, Partey and Odegaard in midfield, and didn't back themselves to play football against those 3. And that was absolutely and utterly criminal. People are saying give them some credit. I am giving them credit. I thought Arsenal went about their business and got 3 good goals, but didn't have to get out of second gear. They didn't blow Spurs away. They just went and exposed Spurs, who literally done it to themselves, Keith. It's mad to watch. I think he's lost them already.
And if you look at the Spurs team today, it's not like he's brought in 10 players and he's trying to integrate them. You go through Lloris, Tanganga. I know Tanganga's only a young lad coming in. Davinson Sanchez, Eric Dyer, Sergio Reguilon, Dele Alli, Højbjerg, Ndombele, Son, Kane, and Morte. That's a Spurs team from last season.
Yeah,
they've signed. They've made some weird signings, in fairness, as of Arsenal. but they just don't look like they're going anywhere, Spurs. I think, when Nuno's at Wolves, he done a good job at the beginning there, but he was getting given the sort of best of Portugal. He was getting the Portuguese talent was all going there. That was probably, out of their limits if it wasn't for the Jorge Mendes link. And he was getting these players and he could get it. And if your familiarity, I suppose, is a good thing, you're going to England and you've got a team with 8, 9, 10 Portuguese players or Portuguese speakers. I'm not saying it's easier, but the spotlight isn't on you as much and you can sort of build in. And he done a good job there for a while. And then it started going a bit stale. And he's gone to Spurs. Now, he was about their 5th or 6th choice for that job. They couldn't blade and get anybody. Seany turned them down and all twice. They couldn't get a blade manager.
And he couldn't come back.
Yeah, couldn't get out and sign the contract. Wouldn't take a digital cert. No. But it's a mess of a club. We said this in the summer. It's a fucking mess. They were top of the league after 3 games, 3 scuddery 1-0 wins. I know the best City. But they didn't look good. And people were talking about them. And you knew there was cracks there. And you're starting to see it. I think he's going to be one of the first managers getting the bullet. I don't think it can go on much longer. Like, if they're getting... So, Gav, I agree with you. I think Arsenal were okay today. And that's damning on Spurs. That is absolutely damning. It's not like Arsenal came out and, you know the way we've done it to Arsenal, we've done it to Spurs before, where you come out and you blitz a team and you're electric. I don't think Arsenal were that. No, they didn't have to be. They didn't have to be.
Because what happened...
I really like Smith Rowe, lads.
Yeah, he's a quality. And I want to talk about that goal in particular because people are saying I'm not giving him enough credit. Watching that game today, you knew, and Neville said it on the commentary, he said, this is weird from Spurs. They don't seem to want to engage Arsenal. They want to... And it wasn't like they were trying to, shut up the crowd by keeping the ball. They were literally not interested in playing football. They were giving it to their 2 centre-backs who were hitting these diagonals. Not passes, just lumping it up and hoping they could win flicks off it. And and then when they lost it, they didn't press. They just stood back. And then even when they went to press, it was half-hearted. And that goal in particular, that comes from a dodgy pass from Ramsdale in goal, right? And Spurs go to press it. They half-heartedly press it, and the Arsenal player kind of gets in a bit of a tangle but gets away with it. Literally goes to Tierney, who plays it like a ball along the ground into masses of space for Aubameyang to flicker onto a fella who's actually his touches is brilliant and gets him going. But nobody's gone with him. Literally, Spurs players are all standing around looking at this unfolding. And by the time Smith Rowe gets into the box and pulls it back, there's nobody there. Reguilon is putting out his leg for I don't know what. He's nowhere fucking near the thing. He doesn't go try. It was just watching it. It was a brilliant move from Arsenal, don't get me wrong. But it was so easy to do because Spurs half-heartedly pressed and then let 1, 2, 3 passes go. And next thing, Aubameyang's taking a shot on goal. And nobody's going near the ball. And they just look like they don't want to put in the effort in. They just don't look like Grizz. I don't know. Am I going over the top on Spurs here? Am I not giving Arsenal enough credit here? Because I just felt watching that game today that it was a great win for Arsenal. It was one they needed because they beaten Norwich and they beaten Burnley, and that can kind of paper some cracks. Yeah. But today, I'm not saying that paper cracks because Spurs were really, really bad. Arsenal done well, but they'll never get an easier North London derby than that, Chris.
I think you're spot on about Spurs. I think you're spot on about the manager. I think what Keith said as well about losing the players. And it reminded me of, do you know how we've been going into games against Everton at Anfield, knowing or had the feel of how we know we're going to smash Everton. Arsenal had that feeling. Everton, like how Everton don't lay a glove. Do you remember when we went up 3-up about a season or 2 ago and then 4-up, before as well? I do think you're not giving Arsenal enough credit, but look, that's you, right? You and Arsenal don't get on. That's fine. But
I thought you were brilliant today.
I thought Arsenal were... Look, I've said it before, and people accuse me of being a Grizz Teta fan, an Arteta fanboy. I've said when the time to judge Arsenal this season is when he has his best defense, his best team out, and the last 3 teams, the last 3 selections he's picked, the last 3 wins has shown that they're not relegation fodder, as people were calling them, or whatever. Of course, they're miles away from the Arsenal that we know. Of course they are. But I genuinely think I genuinely think if he keeps his players fit, because that back four, because I rate Gabriel, I very, very much rate Tierney, and this Ramsdale that we took the piss out of him, including me, has done a
He's brilliant.
very, very
He's
decent job so far, Keith.
More.
No, he has. He's performed
He's
very
brilliant.
admirably.
He'll be found out.
And yeah, look, and you guys touched upon Smith Rowe and Saka and Odegaard, 3 very good technical, young, hungry players behind an experienced forward like Aubameyang, who we know, despite his social media extravagant side, has a record of scoring lots of goals in the Premier League since he's been there. So I think they would be okay, but that's about it. But Spurs, yeah, I don't know where they go, Gav. Even if they do sack him, where the hell do Spurs go?
Who are they going to get to bleed and manage them? Do you know what I mean?
I
It's a
don't know what
disaster.
to do, but watching that today, and I'm not a big fan of Gary Neville, like by any stretch of the imagination, and I don't usually listen to him, but I happened to be listening today, and he made a great point where he said, if you look at this side and what they done a couple of years ago with the Champions League final, they played exciting football, they pressed you, they ran, they harried, they created chances, they scored goals, and now you look at it, and there's a lot of them players still in that team, or come in straight after, and when they were still really, really good, and they look a shadow of themselves, an absolute and utter shadow of themselves. Like, there's no effort going on, there's no emotion in them. Harry Kane isn't screaming a ball at people, he's taking shots from 40 yards because he's
needed a reset button, Gav, and the reset button was selling Kane.
I'm wondering how much it's affected him.
For him and for them, it's absolutely blown up in their face.
I'm wondering how much it's affecting them, all that, and because I'm wondering how much it's affected him. And his reaction to it and his performance is affecting everyone around him.
He could have walked away from sports there, and all of their fans would have been like, you know what, fair play to you, Hardy, you've done a lot for it. But it's getting to a stage now where it might get a little bit rotten, because you can see sections of the fan base are leveling at him now. There's no excuse for lack of application. It doesn't matter what's happened. He just looks disinterested. He doesn't look attached to the team as a whole. You could argue that they played better football when he wasn't there. I think I don't know how they're going to sort it, because didn't their man Fonseca come out saying that the reason why he didn't take the Spurs job is because they literally told me that we're going to be playing defensive football this year. It's going to be negative. So we're not actually going to go for you in the end. And he said, right, well, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, he also wanted some sort of bonus that he has in his contract in Italy that they don't do in England, and he was like, no, I'm not having that either. But
so it's just I'm not going to say it's sad for them. The stadium looked great last night for the boxing. I can say that much, but I don't know. I think they needed
I generally don't know where they go.
It's just so strange to watch.
I'm in that camp as well, Grizz, because I think they needed the reset button. And for me, the reset button would have been the 100 million or so they would have got for Harry Kane without doubt, which they still might even get in January. City might still be looking. I don't know. But they'll be getting big. They still might sell them.
They've missed. I think they've missed the boat there, in the sense that if you're going to sign Harry Kane, it's still going to cost you 100 million because he's English, he's the England captain, and all this, and he does come with a premium. But I just think they'll look at different options now. I think
I will say one thing, lads. I know he's only signed a new deal, but we should be looking there. We should be rattling the cage there for me.
We keep saying it.
Yeah, but he's too old now. He's too old now.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like when I say,
how much is he costing you? Do you know what I mean?
I think if you're talking probably 5 or 10 years ago, he's too old. I probably agree with you, but football has completely changed. These fellas are playing till they're 35, 36 now, not a bother.
Oh yeah, he's another one who's absolutely, you can see, carrying on playing for another 4 or 5 years easily. I get all that. Yeah, I just think. I think we need to invest in a 24, 25 year old.
Yeah, maybe right, but
look, a bit of future planning, I think, as opposed to Son 18 months ago makes sense.
Because Gav, you mentioned something about this Spurs side near enough is the same spine as the one that played in the Champions League final a few years ago, right? And this is what we've all been barking on about throughout the legacy summer, that this is what we don't want. we want a slowly succession planning where we don't end up with the same spine tiring out. Now, of course, I'm not saying we're fucking anything like that Spurs team, but you know what I mean? This is why it's important that we keep continuing to freshen up, because they haven't. They've lost their centre-backs and they've replaced them with... They've lost probably two of the most reliable centre-backs in Premier League in Alderweireld and Vertonghen and replaced them with Dyer and Sanchez. It's fucking mad.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting to see. And you know what? Even the way Nuno answers questions with regard to Kane and Kane's goal record this season, doesn't seem to even name him. He's asked about when he's kind of going, well, we know what we have and we know what we can do. And I'm kind of going... Why don't you just come out and say our fucking player is great? There's something not right there for me, and I think it's starting to. We should
have seen the writing on the wall. Yeah, big time guy, like you said. We should have seen the writing on the wall when they tried to get the fella back to manage them. That they literally gave 15 million to leave the year previous. So it would speak volumes about the shit show that's going on behind closed doors there at Spurs. I think they should stick with Nuno no matter how bad it gets, because I actually don't know what they're going to do otherwise. Because
it all depends, Johnny, on how big an influence Harry Kane is having in all this, and Harry Kane's demeanour, and Harry Kane, the way he's carrying on, or the way he's carrying himself in training around the pitch is actually to do with this. And does Nuno Espirito Santo turn around at some stage and go, you know what, he's not putting it in. He's taking shots from 40 fucking yards out, which he done today, which was ridiculous. And he's not pressing. He's not. And does he need to go on a collision course from? I don't know.
But fans back in the stadium won't help, because when they start booing results, if they're getting beaten and at home and they're getting hopped off, and the bills come, like I think Daniel Levy, he's not. He's an astute when it comes to transfers. He's very astute at getting the best for his club. But I think he does listen when the Hoyt starts to turn on a manager, and I think they could end up doing something really rash. And where they go, they're not getting a top manager in there. They got turned down by 5 or 6 lads. Unless they don't have a scrape, they don't have a washout.
That's the only thing because I think Antonio Conte is sitting somewhere waiting for man to.
But Gabby already wouldn't go near them.
No, I mean with Conte, I think he's waiting for Solskjaer to go at United. I think he's absolutely nailed on there. But I don't know if Spurs could change his mind. I know they went from and it didn't happen. But I don't know.
Zero chance.
I think there's zero chance, because I think the United job is up in the air, and I think that's the one Conte wants.
Dave's more likely to get Solskjaer when he gets the bullet out of United.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the name.
Yeah.
And it's all like on a Solskjaer or Frank Lampard or something. You know what I mean? That's the.
Even if it was Graham Potter, a couple of people in the chat saying Graham Potter. Graham Potter. I'm telling you, he'd be mad to take that Spurs job. He's an up-and-coming English coach. He's a top-quality coach.
He'd be a good move for them if they had the foresight to go for someone like him. It would be. Look at Dean Smith at Aston Villa. You know what I mean? He's not
Ten Hag. They should have been all on Ten Hag. They should have just got him. They should have just done whatever they can. Not that he's a brilliant coach. He would have He would have at least played. And like, Grizz, spot on. It's their level, and he would have played some sort of
attacking football.
Like Spurs haven't won that in years, but the Tottenham fans used to love going the lane because they played great football. Yeah. Even on that Redmen, they played brilliant.
What
football.
They were famous for, going back 20 years, Shawnee. That's what they were famous for.
And that's what they wanted. Yeah, like Villas Bowers played decent football. Harry Redknapp had them playing good football. He had real good players all out, and he had them playing good football. Pochettino raised the expectations of the fans by going close in the Premier League and the Champions League, and then all of a sudden they had this thing where we need to be winning fucking trophies. Well, in the entire history of the club, they never had a sustained period of winning trophies ever. So, like, where are they getting these notions from? It's because they have a nice big stadium.
No, it's a style. It's the only thing they only look at is the style of play. That's all it is. It's always that the Spurs way or the West Ham way or and stuff like that. And it used to be the Liverpool way, pass and move. And it's not like that at Liverpool anymore. Liverpool just fucking run all over you if they have to. They've evolved, but it always seems to come back to some of these clubs. The Arsenal way. The Arsenal way was an absolute millstone around their neck for years. From about 2006 onwards, where it had to be the Arsenal way.
Well, United way, like the Ferguson way now is the thing now of United.
Yeah, like, but the United way, was under Ferguson a lot of the time was he used to sit back and kill you on the break.
I think the Chelsea way is the best.
You know,
I think the Chelsea way is the best. Get a manager in, he'll win the league 1 year, he'll stink the gaff out, we'll bring in another manager, 2 years, win the league. That's the
numbers show it can work, yeah. But anyway, we better leg it. It's 20-12. We're acting the maggot now. Thanks to everyone in the chat. It's been really, really, really good. Seany, anything else before we go?
No, nothing. Oh. I just saying there that Gazzetta de Sport are at the releasing a big dossier about Ronaldo and Juventus. So apparently there's a massive inquisition going into what happened there, and apparently he's getting torn apart by the Italian media. So to be honest with you, the circus rolls on across the bleeding the N7. Manchester United seems to be an absolute fucking shit show again.
Practically paid United to take him, for fuck's sake.
Way sooner than I expected. So it should be a good watch. Have a look at that.
Okay, keep an eye out. Grizz, anything else before we go?
Sorry. No, absolutely nothing.
Nothing. Okay, good stuff. Keith, anything else before we go?
That yellow gear isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Don't get into the jersey.
I have to say. It is. I love it. I'm not into the yellow kits, right? But the checkered bit looks very good. The retro, the Nike, the old school with the Nike route on it, and the training gear and all the range around. I have to say, very impressed. Very impressed.
It's just that trim. It's just that little.
Yeah, but you don't even really notice it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't notice it. Yeah, you don't notice it.
It's grand. Looks good.
I'm delighted now. Delighted you've come around.
I hope we wear the next Sunday against City at home just to annoy everyone.
Just to annoy everyone. Yeah, I'm all about that.
Keith's sitting there going, "No, bang on for wearing it. It's fucking gorgeous. It's the nicest jersey you've ever had."
Looks great.
But no, nothing else to add, Keith, other than that. Other than trying to start a jersey debate at 20-12 at night. Okay.
We could do a good jersey debate, couldn't we? I like that.
Relax.
This week on the LFC Daytrippers, the forum is back tomorrow. Tuesday, we play Porto on Tuesday, don't we? So it's a pre and post match for Porto. The midweek fix on Wednesday, Carnage on Thursday, Sports Unplugged on Friday, and nothing on Saturday, a day off. And we've pre-post match and the Fatback 4 following the game against City at Anfield. Last thing, the Sienna campaign has gone above €100,000. It's at 102,000 currently. What they done was they had big fundraisers that they've done, and we're waiting on the money. So they've put the money in there, waiting for it to arrive. So that's brought them up over 100,000. 18,000 to go, which is nothing. Absolutely nothing, 18,000. So we're going to keep pushing this on every show this week and into the following week and the week after that. And when we get to the international break, we're going to try to do something for 3 or 4 hours where we just have a load of crack, and there's going to be one link on the screen, and that's the only link and the only message going up, and that's where you're going to donate and help us get to the 120k. And if you do, it's going to be, for me, the biggest achievement this channel has ever done, in my opinion. Right, that is it. That's the Fatback 4. Enjoy whatever's left of your Sunday, about 15 minutes. Enjoy the rest of the week. Make sure you like on the way out. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. And enjoy all the shows coming during the week too. Thanks to Keith. Thanks to Seany. Thanks to Grizz. Over and out.